burnout. There's been a lot more steam and a lot more like push in the last 2 years.
I thought that life was going to be no more studying. I was sadly mistaken. Are there any red flags that you feel like you're ignoring?
Oh,
within your life?
I ignore them. I put them in a box.
You took a while to text back. I was like, the heck?
I always think that I'm going to be this like expert ocean girl.
Just know that everybody struggles.
Right.
Just put out your content.
Welcome to Fill and Tell, where we spill the tea on all things aesthetics.
We're your hosts. I'm Megan.
And I'm Lauren.
We're here to give you the inside scoop on what goes on behind the treatment room door.
From filler to facelifts, skincare to aesthetic secrets.
We're taking you behind the scenes of the industry with unfiltered conversations, expert insights, and maybe a little gossip along the way.
Today we're going to talk about burnout, and I think that this is a really good topic because whether you're an injector, a businesswoman, a mom, whatever it is that you're doing, an entrepreneur, I think we all experience burnout. And I think it's a topic that, affects our mental health and like what we're doing. And we're going to get into maybe some of the things that you can do and prevent when you're experiencing burnout, like what does balance look like, and then how to really maybe reframe that and kind of some experiences that we've had with burnout. Because is it a myth? Is it a legend? Is it totally like an Instagram meme only about work-life balance? So I think this will be a fun topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. I think we both are feeling a little bit of this as we're taking on new things and becoming busier at work, taking on Fill and Tell, wanting to just grow. There's a level of steam going down. How do you recoup? You're really having to set boundaries at this point. So great topic that we both have a lot of experience with right now.
Yeah. And that's something that I think it's come up a lot recently in conversations because we've been doing this for 4 and 5 years, but really I think there's been a lot more steam and a lot more like push in the last 2 years.
Yeah, I agree.
And you just eventually start to feel like, okay, wait, all this stuff is really building up and I haven't worked out in a week. Haven't seen my girlfriends or whatever it is that we're trying to balance, which I think is such a fake thing. I used to think when I was in school, right? PA school was like, we talked about this the other day, like, oh, I can't wait until it's just go to work and go home.
Yep. I thought that life was going to be no more studying, no more, not extracurriculars, but nothing to do after work. And I was sadly mistaken. I mean, you naturally take on things that you're interested in or, work just grows or maybe you take it home. But this idea that you can have a healthy balance between everything at all times, I think is...
It's fake news. I think so. It's totally fake in the sense that you can't be 50-50.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really where this whole work-life balancing that everybody was talking about becomes not real because you really can't focus 50-50 or you're only giving 50% then.
Right. I had a big wake-up call. Zach, my boyfriend, he sort of noticed that I was giving 100% at work. You and I sometimes stay late, 100% for that, and coming home with really only 30 to 50%. And he was like, hey, this isn't going to be okay for the rest of our lives. We have to figure out how to balance so that you can somehow at least give me 75, 85 at home. And it's really valid because I think people who have kids, I don't know how they do it.
I was thinking about that. Well, I mean, I have tiny little humans that are here sometimes, but then you get a big break.
And you figure it out.
Yeah.
Naturally, we both want kids. We will figure it out when that time comes.
You hire a lot of help, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that what everyone else does?
Yeah. We love the Him and Her show, and Lauren Bostic says she has no shame.
But you can't do it all. Yeah, she's very transparent about that. And I think that, gosh, think about our parents, their grandparents, they didn't have all of this. They really did do it all.
Yeah.
I feel like. And I'm kudos.
Yeah, I don't know how.
So it's interesting that you say that because Brene Brown, I listen to a lot of stuff by her, and she has this great philosophy, which is that her and her husband or partner don't give like it 50-50. It's really like whatever you can give that day. So like you come home, you've had a patient that's had a problem, or you've had, a meeting that went bad, and like you can only show up to your relationship 30%. And then her spouse is like, okay, I've got you. I'll cover you the 70 so that they can collectively be 100 as a couple. And I think that's an interesting take on it. Because again, I don't believe that balance is true 50-50. Like you've got to, when I'm at work, I give my patients 100. At least that's my goal, is 100.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else is just going to have to be, I try to then focus my attention and give that 100, but it can't be.
How do you feel
balanced.
like that plays out with like you and Brian? You both are in the medical profession, and you both, like him being a surgeon, having to be like dead focused on a surgery, you being with patients, really like, cosmetic medicine is still medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, you can't mess up either way. But there's no room for in either arena, because you don't want to botch someone's Botox either. So how do you feel like you and Brian show up with both being in the medical field?
And I don't know some days, because I'm just like, are we running on caffeine and adrenaline, or like, how does this happen? I think that, I try to leave work at work, which is a hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that takes a lot of learning. And I think he really has done that too. There's been all kinds of things that have happened to him, and, complications to deal with, lawsuits to deal with, partners to deal with. And, when he's in it, he's in it. And then you have to be comfortable to sometimes just step away and leave it. So we do that, when we come home. I feel like we rarely talk about work. You were asking me the other day, like, has he listened to the podcast? Like, what does he think? And I was like, maybe he's listened. Like, and then I went and asked him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a big thing to focus on. And that was something that I really tried to focus on going into this year, was redirecting a lot of energy to whatever it is, and then leaving what's not necessarily adding anything, like just not engaging with it.
Yeah. I think that's the only way to do it, because if you don't, you are on the way to burnout. Because with our job especially, we really want to cater to our patients. We want them to have our phone number if they need it. And so it's sort of being on call 24/7. Like, you get home, but
which in call is like such another thing. It's like, we hate that. I hate that.
We are on call for plastic surgery
still. But you're right, because I feel like I'm on call every day.
Yeah, and you are. I mean, especially when we're doing these intense CO2 lasers or any sort of laser, I try to give my phone number out. I was sitting on the couch the other night, and I think Zach and I were trying to watch a movie, and I wasn't paying attention to the movie because someone texted me with, I don't even remember if it was a problem, a scheduling error, like
a question. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I could do a better job at putting my phone on do not disturb, or like just giving a boundary of, hey, I'm at home. It's say until 7 p.m. I can answer patient texts, but like after then I'm, solely focused on home. But then there's a whole nother category of social media. I think we try to put out as much as we can. I've found lately that with Phil and Tell and with my own personal and us really trying to grow both, is like I'm running into this sort of burnout where I want to give 100% to my patients, but I want to give 100% to like social media because we know it helps grow. And I'm finding this imbalance between the two, and having to figure out how I'm going to balance all of it. And like when I'm going to do it, when I'm going to prioritize my relationship, like.
So do you feel like you've been burned out recently?
Yeah. So, I mean, yes. Like, I feel like, to answer your question, I'm noticing these signs of burnout. And I think some signs are like negativity, fatigue. I think cynicism is one. So just like these negative thoughts of not wanting to, feeling like things are a job when they used to be fun.
Right.
Used to pride myself on the fact that I loved going to work. You know, I would, my family would be like, how's work? I'm like, honestly, I love work.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. And
That's been something that's shifted a lot recently, I feel like. And so I agree. I still love what I do. And I love when my patients are satisfied and happy and they text me and they could not be happier with their results. But the shift in in our practice has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that I think is, you know, unfortunately, like private equity has come into the picture. And like, what does that look like? There's a lot more pressure on business and numbers and hitting goals and doing all of these things. And, you know, I love a goal, but I think that was pushed or it's been pushed. And so it becomes like, well, I don't want to do this just for that. Like I want to do it because it's me and like, it's going to be what's best for my patients and not because you say that's my goal.
Right.
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 Like no one should be making my goals except for me.
I agree.
And I think that's a big, that has like really rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, and I think that's a sure way to push people towards burnout because we naturally...
You're like a number. It's like a churn and burn.
We naturally are leaders in ourselves, and so we have been able to grow and just, you know, do well, but there are times when that number is just in the back of your mind and you're pushing yourself. You know, I was thinking, when was the last day I actually like took off for a vacation or,
you haven't taken off.
Yeah, I know. I'm a big vacationer. I love to travel and I haven't traveled since like the end of January. It was a great trip, but those little things or like taking that Friday off is definitely a great way to just recoup. And
I know I'm going to the Cayman Islands in a couple of days and I can't wait.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to not be on my phone, but I know that won't be the case. But as far as like really taking a break from maybe like planning a lot of stuff and like filming, of course, just like pictures of what's going on vacation and like really trying to hone in and spend some quality time, certainly. So I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I know one of my best friends is getting married, so it'll be fun. We're going to hopefully like have a great time, sit out by the pool, go to the spa. They have this thing called Stingray City or something like that. I'm not really sure what that is, but you snorkel and there's stingrays everywhere. And
do you like stingrays? No.
I was about to say, the last time I snorkeled, I always think that I'm going to be this like expert ocean girl, right?
Wait, can we flash a photo of Lauren on her bachelorette with her scuba gear on? Like just swimming through Cabo.
Yes. And I mean, it requires 10 cocktails to get me in there to snorkel because Brian and I snorkeled in Bora Bora. I was petrified.
I bet.
I was so scared. He was like swimming around. He's got the, whatever it's called, the GoPro. I mean, he looks like a pro. I'm like treading water. I look like I don't know how to swim. But yeah, I just signed us up to go to Stingray City.
I hope y'all have a great time with the stingrays.
Out there and I know. Hopefully they don't have tails, you know, stingers.
I think they all come with those. I think they all come with tails.
Maybe they take them out off or something. At one point I heard that like if you feed the stingrays, they become like dogs or something. And they come back to the area. You know, they come back to the area over and over again. So maybe if
so they're friendly.
Yes. Okay. But if they remove the tails or whatever,
the
little stingers at the end, but they keep coming back, then those won't have tails.
I see. Okay. Gotcha.
Whatever.
Do you asked me, am I burnt out? But I don't think I asked you, do you feel any sort of burnout? Are there any red flags that you feel like you're ignoring?
Oh, absolutely.
Within your life?
I ignore them. I put them in a box. I think I'm really good at that.
How are you compartmentalizing? How are you like pushing forward, having all this on your plate? You have a husband, you have, your personal business. We have Phil and Tell. We are trying to grow more. How are you doing it all?
I got really good at compartmentalizing when I was going through my divorce and my ex-husband because I hated my life so much that I went to work. That was my thing. I went to feed my friends. That was my thing. And then I got like really blocked out a lot of other stuff. So it became my defense mechanism, but I became really good at it. Mm-hmm. So like maybe it's unhealthy what I'm doing. I should go back and ask Hillary that. But I think that I really am able to put things into one compartment of my brain and think about it and turn it off. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the best way to deal with things, but yes, when I have a complication with a patient, I think about it, try to solve it, and then I move on very quickly. Because it's just it's the nature, and like to carry the burden of all of that is just, it's too hard. So I try to just put it in there. And then recently I've been feeling at work burnt out, yes, just because of what we've discussed, but also re-energized by all of the other things that we're doing to move ourselves forward. Right. I'm not moving, I'm moving forward no matter what, but we're doing it on a personal level now. And it's not necessarily because, the business partners told me that I had to. Right. So I'm feeling a lot more energy in that of just like, what's the why? And I think that's a good question to ask when you're feeling burnt out, and try to remember, well, why are you doing this? Why are you doing all of this? What's the end goal? And then helping to strive forward. But I think I ignore a lot of signs of burnout.
Yeah. I think that's great. You reminded me of that, like last night when we were together working on the podcast. I was just sort of like, how are you doing it all? And I am quite opposite of, instead of compartmentalizing, you do a great job of that. I spiral. I rabbit hole things, like if I have a patient complication, I will think about it. And, I had something happen in work a few weeks ago, and I just took it to heart, naturally, as like a good provider should. And you do that too. Yeah. You care. But I couldn't stop. And I have a level of anxiety. Like Hillary helps with that. Therapy helps, meditation helps. And like, we'll get into like how we're going to help ourselves with burnout. Yeah. But, I think from the outside looking in, I think people think we have it all together. Mm-hmm. Literally last night, a friend of mine and I were texting. She is a great friend from college. She is actually a plastic surgeon now. I'm so proud of her. Oh, that's amazing. Lives in Chicago. She has a family. She has 2 or 3 kids. Sorry, I'm can't remember if you have 2 or 3, but they're beautiful. I watch her life on Instagram, and she's like, Megan, how are you doing and all? And I was like, I'm not. Like, I promise you, I know that it looks like it, but everyone has their own like vices. They have their own
it's a snippet that you get to see.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I just, gave her encouragement. She was basically asking, how can I produce content? When do you produce content? When do you take your patient before and afters? Like, when are you filming all of this? And I sort of thought, and I was like, when do I do all of it? I guess I do it at night. And so just like encouraging her to know that whatever she's putting out as a surgeon, as a mom, as a wife, like she's doing a good job. So for anyone listening, just know that everybody struggles. Right. Just put out your content.
And that's
like, don't make it perfect is what I'm trying to say.
And I think that's the beauty of where social media is going, is people want to see a lot more authenticity of like what is going on day to day. It's a lot less. I mean, TikTok is amazing for that, because it can really just be, you set your camera up, you record it, you snip it, and that's it. Like, it doesn't require a lot of bells and whistles. And so I like that part of where content creation and social media is going, because that, at the end of the day, that's what people really want to see, is what's going on in your life on a kind of less edited version.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's at least helpful to kind of like know that, okay, it doesn't have to be so produced. And I think that's a big thing for like reframing our mindset and just kind of like taking a step back, and also anyone else who's struggling with burnout or family issues or kids needing to go to like soccer and make it to ballet and all these other things that moms juggle. It's like everybody's experiencing it. So just taking a step back and figuring out, how do we reframe it? Yeah. And I think that at least this year for me, my big goal in 2025, at least with work, was to let go of the things I couldn't control. I can no longer control a lot of the business aspect of what we do. And so therefore, it's just not something that takes up my energy anymore.
And really that's actually helped to pave the way to create more with Phil and Tell. Yeah. And, like for a while when we were trying to get our work up and running and bring on these skincare lines and do all the things, it felt like it was all on our shoulders. And so now it's it's the
It's kind
step
of like
back.
hands off.
It's a let go. It's like, this is, y'all's business. You do your thing, and we'll work. We're working here, and of course we are going to be 100% for our patients. That will never change, no matter where we're at. But
that was a big
we're not going to be
boundary.
100% for like.
And like having boundaries. I feel like that's a trigger word sometimes because people abuse boundaries and using them in that sort of way. But having a boundary for yourself to just say, okay, I'm going out to dinner this amount of times. Or if a rep reaches out to us and it's like, okay, is this actually beneficial to me? Is this worth taking time away from like my home life, my exercise life, whatever it is that I'm doing to give this person my energy? And if it is, fantastic. I have reps that, we love that I would give them my time for sure. And boundaries with meetings, boundaries with, just like when to say no. I think that's hard as yes girls.
Yes. Yes. And also I think that goes into, how do you prevent burnout?
Yeah.
Because I think I need to do a better job with boundaries. I think I could be better at creating either do not disturb on my phone or
that's the best thing. That's the best, I think, what's it called? Thing on the iPhone is do not disturb.
It's a great feature.
Yeah. I turn it on and it does become out of sight. Like even if your phone's on silent, you can hear it, you see it light up. I have a lot of notifications on, you don't, that's beneficial to you. But having that do not disturb, it's like, it's this weight that immediately gets lifted. And I had it on all day today on accident. So when I was at work, normally I have it on, I turn it off in the morning after I've worked out and stuff because I try to make sure that that's the first thing that I do. But I forgot to turn it off. So when I was at work,
you took a while to text back. I was like, the heck?
I know, and normally I'm very good.
She usually texts me back quick.
So I left it on. I came back to my phone like 40 texts, but it was like so nice because I really spent the time with my patients trying to figure out what's going to be best for them, doing a little bit of work.
Yep.
And when I finally got to my phone, it was almost noon. I think that was when you had texted me that you were done. And I was like, wow, this has been on the whole time. How nice.
That is nice. Yeah, that is nice.
So utilizing that feature a little bit more, I think has some serious power. And then content batching. I know that's something we've talked about a lot. Content calendars, time blocking is something that's big.
Yes.
I don't utilize that as much, but I think that that's a huge thing. If you can make the time to block things off, like I'm going to work on this from 8 to 9.
Yeah.
I'm going to work out from 6 to 7 a.m.
Scheduling it and just no matter what, doing it. I think what's been helpful for me too is giving myself a little bit of a break from like Friday night to Sunday. That's helped some creativity flow. I feel like that's one of the, definitions of burnout is lack of creativity. And lately I just am like, I'm staring at my phone, like, what on earth should I put out? It's not that deep.
It's not.
Just a Botox video, but you sort of get this burnout of lack of creativity or just like, this feels like a second job. So, I think scheduling a workout is great.
Absolutely.
I think we both
scheduling can go to a workout is super helpful because sometimes like scheduling myself in the garage is hard.
Yes,
because I cannot show up for that.
That's where Pilates has saved me the past year and a half because it's scheduled at 6 a.m. So if I don't go, I get charged.
Right.
And it's just like that notion of you have something scheduled in the morning.
Right. And I think too, just like how do we be better for other people and just like understanding I'm very good about responding immediately, right? Responding to my text immediately. Emails are a big, like I'm on top of it and just being able to give like, or if I'm texting you and I'm like, okay, Megan should be responding within 5 minutes. Like, what the hell is she doing?
Yeah.
And then I'm checking her location to see where she's at, what's going on. But to give people grace and just be like, they can respond as they wish, or just like trying to put yourself in other people's shoes and just say that like, okay, this person could also be experiencing some of these symptoms of burnout and just giving them a moment to
And I think as business partners now, we've learned that we do things a little bit differently. And so when you might be working on something I might not, or, I've found lately that trying to do work, patience, chart notes, and content in the day is really overwhelming for me. And so just like figuring out a happy medium of like what works for you and then what works for the both of us has been really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think like for everyone else, like comment, like what's an area or a boundary that you want to implement, or like what's an area that you can kind of unplug from, or something that you can do to make your day to day a lot easier. So leave a comment for us. Like,
we want to know.
Yes, absolutely.
We would love to hear your tools and tips.
Yes. And I think just like remembering that balance is what you make it.
Yes.
You know, like your balance and my balance are not going to be the same thing. So just like figuring out your balance and then just owning it. And I think that is just a great way to kind of just reframe and reshape some of these things that we've all been experiencing. So share this episode with your friends and your family. We encourage you to subscribe on YouTube, rate, and, leave us a comment. We would love to hear like what you want to hear more about and maybe some of the ways that you are dealing with burnout in your own life.
Until next time.
Yes.